There's a service bay behind the dealership I'm parked at, and there are 9 units in the yard waiting to get into it. 2 of them still have the plastic on the mattresses. That's what I want you to hold on to while we go through this list. Not a junkyard, a service yard. Every one of those units was sold to somebody in the last year or 2, and every one of them is sitting at a gravel lot instead of a campground. Now here's the part I need to square with you before we start counting. The title says 15 RVs Americans regret buying. I'm going to be straight with you about what that means, because most people get this wrong. Almost nothing on this list is a bad RV built by a bad company. That's not what the record shows. What the record shows is that nearly every item on this list traces back to the same small handful of suppliers, and in most of these cases, the manufacturer is fixing it for free. So what is there to regret? 6 weeks of your camping season, sitting in a gravel yard, waiting on a part. And then the 2 entries at the top of this list, which nobody is paying for except the owner. I'm ranking these by 1 rule and 1 rule only: who eats the cost and whether the thing can actually be fixed. Paperwork at the bottom. Structural failure at the top. Stay for number 1, because it has an open federal investigation attached to it and 55,887 units inside that investigation. Let's count. Number 15. The Jayco Integra Condor and Jayco Granite Ridge motorhomes. Roughly 100 units, 2025 and 2026 model years. The certification label had the front and rear axle weight information reversed. That's it. A sticker with the numbers swapped. Jayco mailed corrected labels out free of charge. Sounds like nothing. It's on the list because that sticker is the only document telling you how much weight each axle can legally carry. And if you load a motorhome by a label that's backwards, you can put weight on an axle that was never rated for it. A sticker problem becomes a tire problem, becomes a highway problem. Number 14. Integra Quest and Jayco Melbourne Prestige. 74 units. The taillight warning light illuminates on the dash when the taillights are working perfectly fine. Federal recall 26V360. Jayco replaces the harness free. Minor, but think about what it trains you to do. A warning light that lies teaches you to ignore warning lights. Number 13. Tiffin Open Trail, Wayfarer, and Midas. The cargo carrying capacity label was printed on the wrong color stock, a white label instead of the required one. Purely cosmetic compliance, and I'd skip it entirely except for this. Cargo carrying capacity is going to come back up on this list in a much less funny way. Number 12. Forest River on the federal placard. Recall 26V221,000. The placard listed the wrong dry weight. The recall language is blunt about why that matters. Incorrect information can prompt owners to load beyond safe limits, increasing the risk of a crash. Dealers replace the label free. 3 of the first 4 entries on this list are weight labels with wrong numbers on them. Sit with that. Now, if you're thinking about buying an RV, or you're already stuck in one, I put together something called the RV Buyer's Blueprint. Real ownership costs, how to read the financing paper before you sign it, the inspection checklist that catches water damage, and how to get out if you're upside down. The link is below this video. Alright, let's keep going. Number 11. Jayco on the water heater. Recall 26V267000. The tempering mixing valve was not installed. Without that valve, the water coming out of the tap can reach scalding temperature. The official guidance to owners while they wait for the repair is to turn on the cold water first. Free fix. But you found out by turning on a faucet. Number 10. Forest River Wildwood Salem and the 2026 Stealth EVO. Recall 26V352000. The fireplace outlet may have been wired incorrectly. A miswired outlet behind a decorative fireplace inside a box made largely of wood and foam. Number 9. Heartland Bighorn and Jayco North Point fifth wheels. 53 units, 2026 model year, recall 25V6750000. The Murphy bed mechanism can fail and the bed can fall unexpectedly. Jayco redesigned the mechanism and dealers replace it free. 53 units is a small number right up until you're one of them. Number 8. Holiday Rambler Invicta and Fleetwood Fortis. 239 units, 2024 through 2026, built with a particular Lippert paddle latch. The latch can unintentionally lock the propane compartment. Remember that supplier name. It's going to matter at the top of this list. Number 7. Forest River on underbellies and fenders. April's recall roundup covered more than 2,000 motorhomes and trailers, and the issues in it included tires contacting fenders and underbellies detaching in transit. An underbelly coming loose at highway speed is your insulation, your tank lines, and your wiring, all hanging into the road. Number 6. The suspension recall that hit almost everybody. This one is the reason I built this list the way I did. In 2026, a shock bolt problem on certain Kurt Touring coil suspensions went through the industry sideways. The bolts may have been incorrectly tightened. The federal language on the risk: if the bolt head fractures while the vehicle is in motion, the head and retaining washer can loosen or detach, creating road debris and increasing the risk of a crash. Now look at who it landed on. Grand Design Reflection. Fifth wheels, 1,111 units. Keystone Cougar, Alpine, Montana, and Walkabout. Forest River Riverstone, Cedar Creek, and R-Pod. KZ Durango. Brinkley Model Z. Those are competing brands. Different price points, different dealer networks, different marketing. Same bolts. This is the thing nobody tells you at the RV show. You are not really choosing between manufacturers. You are choosing between companies that all buy from the same suppliers and bolt them onto frames from the same supplier. The badge on the front cap is the last thing that happens, and it explains something that confuses a lot of first-time buyers. You'll ask around about a brand and get two completely contradictory answers from two owners who each swear by their experience. Both of them are telling the truth. They just got different units, built on different weeks, by different crews, out of largely the same bin of parts. Number 5. Tiffin GT1, GH1, and GH2 motorhomes. Recall 26V338. A screw punctured the fuel tank during manufacturing, causing a fuel leak. Fire risk. And here's the sentence that puts it at number 5. Owners were advised to park the coach outside and away from structures until the remedy was complete. Read that again. You bought a motorhome and the guidance was don't park it near your house. Dealers inspect and replace the tank as needed, free of charge. Notification letters went out in July. Number 4. Cargo carrying capacity. And this is where you start paying. This is not a recall. Nobody is fixing it because technically nothing is broken. Cargo carrying capacity is what's left over after the RV weighs itself. Take the gross vehicle weight rating, subtract what the unit actually weighs coming off the line with its tanks and its propane, and whatever remains is yours for water, gear, food, tools, generator, bikes, everything. On a lot of modern trailers, that number is far smaller than buyers assume. Fill the fresh tank and you may have already spent most of it because water runs a bit over 8 pounds a gallon. 60 gallons is roughly 500 pounds of your allowance gone before you've packed a single shirt. There is no free fix for this. The trailer isn't effective. It was engineered to a price with a floor plan the marketing department wanted, and the capacity is what was left over. You find out when the tires start wearing strangely, or when a spring loses its arch, or when a hanger tears. And notice how this connects back to the bottom of the list. 4 of the first 5 entries were weight labels with wrong numbers printed on them. Those got recalled because a wrong number on a sticker is a compliance failure somebody can be held to. A correct number that's simply too small to be useful isn't a failure of anything. It's just the spec. Number 3. Water intrusion and delamination. The most expensive thing that happens to RVs, and it's almost never covered by anybody. The entry points are the same on nearly every unit built. Roof seams, the front cap transition, slide-out seals, window frames, awning brackets, utility bay doors. The failure mode is thin or skipped sealant, or sealant that was never properly tooled into the corner. And the reason it's number 3 instead of number 10 is that it hides. Water gets behind the wall, into the insulation, into the subfloor, and there's nothing to see until the wall starts to look wavy or the floor goes soft underfoot. Industry repair figures put delamination work in the $5,000 to $15,000 range. Full structural water damage runs past $20,000. And here is the part that turns an expensive repair into a catastrophic one. Insurers frequently treat water intrusion as a maintenance failure rather than sudden damage, which means the owner eats it. On a unit, they may still owe 15 years of payments on. Number 2. The 2026 Alliance Paradigm and what it proves. Alliance sits near the top of most buyers' lists. Strong reputation, good floor plans, good service record. Nobody puts Alliance on a list like this. In June of 2026, a mobile inspection service in the Houston area ran a pre-purchase inspection on a 2026 Alliance Paradigm 41V13, brand new. They documented multiple sealant concerns, including a significant opening near the rear awning attachment area where somebody had already attempted a repair and it hadn't held. Brand new, premium brand, pre-delivery. That's why it's number 2. Not because Alliance is bad, because the money didn't buy anybody out of it. If a reputation and a premium price tag don't guarantee a sealed roof at delivery, then the only thing standing between you and number 3 on this list is whether somebody actually went up on that roof before you signed. Number 1. The grand design momentum and solitude, fifth wheels. Model years 2017 through 2023. In October of 2024, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened an investigation, reference number PE24029, into excessive frame flex on these 2 model lines. The population inside that investigation is 55,887 units. The agency's Office of Defects Investigation logged 23 complaints. 22 of them alleged that the frame flexed enough that a cargo door or an entry door opened while the trailer was being towed down the road, some with objects lost onto the highway. 6 also reported slide-outs partially extending in transit. 1 report included an injury. Grand Design issued Technical Service Bulletin 24001 for both lines, instructing technicians to measure pin box deflection and look for signs of flex and where they found it to install larger and more numerous lag bolts. Now here's why this is number 1 and not number 6. According to the federal filings, Grand Design and Lippert, the company that builds the frames, do not agree on what's happening. Grand Design's position was that the flex occurs only in the upper deck area and results in cosmetic defects. Lippert's position was that the effects of frame failure may extend back to the front axle of the trailer. Those 2 statements describe completely different problems. One is trim, the other is structural. While the manufacturer and the supplier disagreed about the cause, owners were left with trailers they couldn't confidently tow. Some owners reported signing non-disclosure agreements with the company. It took a class action lawsuit to move the issue. And the frame redesign that came out of it went onto new production, not onto the tens of thousands of units already out there. That is the definition of catastrophic on this list. Not the biggest recall. The one where there is no recall, no free fix, no agreement about what's even wrong, and a 15 or 20-year note still running underneath it. So step back and look at the shape of what we just counted. 15 entries. Roughly 11 of them get repaired for free by the manufacturer, and most of those trace to a component somebody else made and sold to everybody. 4 of them, capacity, water, sealant at delivery, and frame flex, have no free fix at all, and those 4 are the ones that actually cost owners money. The pattern is that the recalls are not the problem. Recalls are the system working. A recall means somebody found it, filed it, and is paying to correct it. The problem is everything that never becomes a recall, because nothing is technically defective. A capacity number that's legal but unusable. Sealant that was applied thinly but applied. A frame that flexes within a tolerance nobody can agree on. If you take one thing out of this, take this. Pay an independent inspector before you sign. Not the dealer's tech. Somebody you hire. Have them get on the roof, put a moisture meter on the lower walls, and weigh the unit so you know what your real capacity is instead of what the brochure says. It costs a few $100s against a purchase where the failures at the top of this list start at $5,000 and run past $20,000. Back to that service yard. 9 units. 2 with plastic still on the mattresses. Every one of them fixable, probably, eventually, when the part shows up. And every one of them making a payment while it sits there.